What is good, y'all? Welcome back to the Hero Report. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are here. We are back with a brand new video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a potential trade that the Miami Heat are interested in doing, and that is going to be trading for Lauri Markkanen. We're going to be talking about the possibility of trading for Lauri Markkanen, so make sure you guys get your comments down below. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is going to be realistic? What would you guys give up? And all of that good stuff. Make sure you guys get that in the comment section below. On the road to 3K as usual. Let's get those subscribers up. Let's get right into it. So Lauri Markkanen is a very, very, very interesting name to talk about. Now, I'm a huge fan of his game. I love Lauri Markkanen's game. Also, I think he's a player that I'm looking at, like a Nikola Jovic, and I'm trying to see if he can kind of replicate similar things to Lauri. But trading for the man himself, I would be an absolutely huge fan of doing. The only problem that I see with a Lauri Markkanen trade is that it just might not happen because the Jazz are eligible to give him an extension. And unlike Donovan Mitchell, it hasn't really been like put out there too much because a lot of people are very confident that the Jazz will be able to extend him. But there are rumblings that Lauri Markkanen and the Jazz, might not agree to an extension, and this might force the Jazz to have to trade him because he's going to be on the last year of his deal. Very similar to the whole Donovan Mitchell situation, on a very much smaller scale. Now, the difference is a lot of people expected, last year, or not last year, last, half of the regular season, that Donovan Mitchell would not be extending with the Cavaliers, and then obviously the narrative changed. Now a lot of people do expect him to sign that extension, whereas for Lauri Markkanen, people were always confident that he would sign an extension with the Utah Jazz. But for some reason, there has been reports coming out that maybe Danny Ainge and Markkanen might not agree on a certain number. Maybe he might want more than they're willing to give up. The Jazz also do have a couple of picks in the first round of this year's NBA draft. Maybe they look to go younger and look to move on from Lauri when his value is at an all-time high right now. If he were to regress next year, then obviously his value would be lower. So again, maybe Danny Ainge pulls the trigger on that. Do I think it's going to happen? I do not. I don't think Lauri Markkanen will get traded. I think him and the Jazz will work something out. I just think it's a very, very unrealistic thing to expect, but since it is a rumor, we do have to talk about it. What would I give up is a very interesting question. Obviously, the asking price wouldn't be as much for Lauri Markkanen as it is for like a Donovan Mitchell, but I definitely would be willing to give up Tyler Hero. But I don't think you would have to give up both the young guys, both Jaquez or Jovic. I think you could probably get away with giving up one or even none, and give up the 2 first-round picks that we have. I think I would probably do a deal where you give up Tyler Hero, one of the young assets, and a pick, or you give up Tyler Hero and 2 picks. And I think that could be a fair deal for both sides. Maybe you could even include a Caleb Martin sign-in trade to the Utah Jazz because he is a free agent as well. But obviously that's dependent on the player and where he wants to go, or even if the Jazz are interested in him. But yeah, that would probably be the base value of what I would give. I mean, maybe you could add a couple pieces on top of that from both sides. I also really like John Collins from the Jazz. I like Colin Sexton. I like Jordan Clarkson. I really like a lot of the pieces that the Jazz have for us to potentially acquire. The only problem is that their GM is Danny Ainge, and Danny Ainge and Pat Riley have had notorious beef over the past few seasons. So I'm not really sure, if that's gonna make an impact as to, if Danny Ainge is gonna be sticky. I mean, we saw that last year with Joe Cronin and the Blazers. Obviously, it wasn't reported that Cronin and Pat Riley had beef. That was more just like a Cronin, a personal thing that Cronin had against Dame for only putting Miami on his destination list. But GMs are prideful, and like we saw with Cronin last year, Danny Ainge might be like, we're going to send him anywhere besides Miami. There are a couple of other teams who are on that, interest list of teams interested in Lauri Markkanen. I believe the Lakers are on that list and a couple of other teams as well. So yeah, I mean, it's not a surefire that if Lauri Markkanen gets traded, it's going to be to Miami, but I do think Miami has a pretty good, pretty good package to acquire him. He's not on the level of a Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Kevin Durant type, trade package where you have to give up a ton for him. Even if GMs don't value Hero as much, it's not like Lauri Markkanen's a superstar. He's an all-star. So I don't think the asking price will be as high, which is why I think it's a really good trade because you're not giving up, all the stuff you might give up for Donovan Mitchell or whatnot. You still get to keep at least one of the young guys. So yeah, I do believe that this is a trade worth doing if, the situation arises where Lauri Markkanen is going to be traded. And again, that is completely dependent on the fact of whether he extends his contract with the Jazz or not, whether they agree to an extension. If they do agree to an extension, then this is all kind of just for nothing, But since it was a rumor that was put out there by, I believe, Sean Devaney, we do have to address this. Another small, little piece of information: Zach LaVine and the Bulls have some news out, and it's reported that Zach LaVine's value is at an all-time low because he's coming off an MCL or a meniscus sprain or something like that, and he's had a pretty bad couple years, to say the least. And yeah, I mean, honestly, the thing with Zach LaVine is it's pretty interesting. His value is really low, and I've seen a lot of Heat fans who are like, "Oh, we should go get Zach LaVine." I'm honestly down to get Zach LaVine, but I don't really think there's much of a difference at this stage right now, where Zach LaVine and Hero are like completely like different players. Where Zach LaVine's going to be an all-star, Hero's not. Like, the last 2 seasons of Zach LaVine have been absolutely atrocious for his standards. Now, they haven't been like bad in general, but like for his standards, they just haven't been great. So when you have that, when you see that from a player, and when he's also coming off of a really bad injury, obviously it makes you trying to, it makes you second guess and trying to kind of reconsider your thoughts on trading for that player. And Zach LaVine's a really good talent, but again, do I really see that big of a difference in 2024 between him and Tyler Hero? The player and then the production? No. I think Zach LaVine is a lot more talented than Hero because of his athleticism and his ability to get to the rim and stuff like that. And I do think he's a better scorer, but he just hasn't played like that in the past few seasons. That's kind of very similar to like the whole Bradley Beal situation. That's like the biggest kind of question mark and the biggest hesitancy point that the Heat front office could have, is that, we saw what happened with Bradley Beal. He had a bad or injury riddled last few seasons with Washington, and then the Suns took a chance on him. His value was really low, and the Heat didn't, and he ended up being really bad for the Suns. So the only positive thing that you get when you trade for Zach LaVine and you don't trade for Bradley Beal is that Zach LaVine doesn't have a no trade clause. So even if he plays badly, you can move on from him later. But do you want to trade Tyler Hero for Zach LaVine? I don't know. That's an interesting point. I mean, I do want to move off from Tyler Hero this summer, but I don't think you just trade him to trade him. He's still a 20-point per game scorer. He has some value where you just don't kind of ship him off for a player who's coming off of a pretty bad injury and who hasn't played well the past 2 seasons. So that's the only reason I would probably stray away from Zach LaVine. But if I could get Alex Caruso in that deal as well, then maybe I'd do it, because Alex Caruso is a guy that I would definitely love on the Heat. And I would probably take Alex Caruso over Zach LaVine for the purposes of winning a championship right now, because Alex Caruso has won a championship, first of all, and he does a lot of things that are required to win a championship. Yeah, and a couple of other rumors that we got to talk about with the NBA draft coming around. I've seen a lot of people in the latest mocks give Miami different players. The Ringer, I believe, gave us Rob Dillingham, and I believe ESPN gave us Zach Edey. Now, those two things, first of all, Rob Dillingham is not going to fall to 15. I think we have to kind of, understand that. He's not going to fall to 15. If he does, it's a no-brainer of a pick, but to me, he's a top 5 player in this whole draft. I do not understand the obsession with taking Zach Edey at pick 15. I don't. If you want to take him in the second round with pick 43, that's fine. But I understand we need size, and Zach Edey is a really tall center, but apart from size, what does he provide for the Miami Heat that's going to help you? You cannot play Zach Edey and Bam Adebayo next to each other, man. They're both two players who do not shoot the three-point shot that much. Now, obviously, Bam has taken the three ball more, towards the end of last season, but naturally, he's not a player who's going to be shooting a ton of threes. And if you're going to pair Zach Edey with somebody, you need the other front court player to be a floor spacer, and that is not Bam Adebayo's game, unless you want to transform his game to, for him to become like a full-time three-point shooter, which I don't think is a strength. So what are we doing? Like, why do we why do we consistently see mocks with Zach Edey going to Miami? If any big is going to be going to Miami at 15, it should be between Khalil Ware and Deron Holmes, two players that I think would really be good fits with Miami. I think Holmes is a better fit than Khalil Ware, just because, I mean, Khalil Ware is bigger and he's a better lob threat, but I don't buy Khalil Ware's shot as much as I do buy Deron Holmes' shot. So I think Deron Holmes is a better fit than Bam. I mean, better fit with Bam. And I do think Deron Holmes fits Miami's kind of identity of switching and stuff like that. He's a very good, versatile defender. And even a guy like Tyler Smith, who I think is a really underrated player. I love Tyler Smith's game. I think any of these three players, I mean, Tyler Smith out of the three is probably my favorite fit at 15 if you're talking about bigs. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad at Deron Holmes. I wouldn't be mad at Khalil Ware. But Zach Edey at 15 is just way too rich for me, especially when it's kind of not really going to help your offense. It's probably going to hurt the offense more because you're losing spacing. Assuming that Jimmy is on the team next year, which I don't see a reason why he's not, barred the extension, you're going to have a front court of Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Zach Edey, which spacing-wise sounds terrible. And yeah, I mean, do I really have to say much more besides the fact that why would you have Zach Edey playing next to Bam Adebayo? I don't think I do. So that's pretty much self-explanatory to me. If you want to get bigger in this draft, if you want to get size, Tyler Smith is the prototypical guy I would want to pair next to Bam. He is like the PJ Washington of this draft. He's left-handed. That's one of the biggest differences, but his game is very similar to PJ Washington's. And again, Deron Holmes, Khalil Ware. Deron Holmes is like a Miles Turner type player. Little smaller in size than Miles Turner, but he plays exactly like him. Really good defender and really good, offensive. He can score at 3 levels. And then Khalil Ware, he's a guy who's like he could be like a Miles Turner as well. Like he's more of a lob threat to me than like a floor spacer. He can shoot the 3. Like it's kind of just like, do you buy the shot? But the only issues with Khalil Ware that I've seen is like the motor at times. Hasn't been great. And I guess again, like the shot, do you buy it or not? I do think he's gonna be a really good lob threat though. But yeah, like Zach Edey on the other hand, no, I'm good on Zach Edey. I'll pass on him. I think it's between those 3, and then if you're talking about guards and wings, you have your Isaiah Colliers of the world, you have Jared McCain, and then I have my favorite player, Devin Carter, who's my favorite fit at 15 with Miami from Miami. And then if a guy like Jacoby Walter falls to 15, or like someone like that, like a Dalton Connect if he falls, I also really like Tristan Da Silva. Even like a Johnny Furphy if you want to talk about shooting. But yeah, definitely not Zach Edey. Please, I do not want to see any more mocks with Zach Edey to Miami. I'm really getting sick of them. I just don't really understand what people are watching if they think Zach Edey is a good fit in Miami. But that's just my mini rant about that. No shot to Zach Edey. I mean, apart from the fact that he plays for Purdue, when obviously being a fan of another school in the Big Ten. I'm not a huge fan of Purdue, but no knock to Zach Edey. I think he's going to be a solid player. I just don't think Miami's the best fit for him. I really don't. But yeah, that's just like the latest Heat news that has been going around. Lauri Markkanen trade rumors, Zach LaVine trade rumors, and then the whole Zach Edey mock drafting to the Heat. And that is going to be the conclusion of the video. Make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. And let me know what you guys' thoughts are in the comment section. I'll see you later as always, man. Have a nice day. Peace.